The thing that you and I joke around a lot, again, we're going to pull back the curtain a minute, is I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of emotions. A lot of commercial producers do as well. And you want to make sure that you feed that ego. Tell people, hey, congratulations on this. You hand out that money right in front of everybody if you get a chance to. Us telling you this is not us just standing on our high horse. We eat the same cooking, and sometimes it tastes good, and sometimes it tastes like broccoli.
This month, it's all about commercial insurance sales because the mayor, Mr. Heath Sharon, you can see him right next to me, is going to release his very first solo course. One of his superpowers is commercial sales. So I don't want to give it away. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's definitely been a passion project for me and something that I've loved as I've been through, whether it's training or been through personally, the Apex courses you've already had and we've built so much on. And now being a part of one that I'm getting to build and be a part of, I do love commercial insurance. I do love outside producers, but they have their own challenges, right? I look at that as an opportunity to have something for them and have something for their managers, something for the owners of the agencies that may struggle with how to manage commercial producers. How do I manage those expectations? How do I keep them motivated? The struggle is real when it comes to that at times.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And we've got some questions that people have asked about how to manage commercial producers we're going to get through. Well, before we dive in, 4th of July here, tell us what are some of the places you've been doing? I know you've just been so focused on wrapping up the course, but I know you had maybe a little travel in June. Anything you want to share?
I love anytime we get to spend time with our clients and go live, whether it's, my clients in Chattanooga or in Kansas or anywhere in between. I enjoy spending time with them, meeting their teams, getting to know them, seeing those light bulb moments when they get it. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is what we've been talking about. And, agency owners listening, those moments. You're like, I've been telling you this forever. And then Heath comes in. Now you get it. Those cool moments. So I have enjoyed that. I love this time of year. I love 4th of July. I love, celebrating our country.
This week coming in Skinny Atlas, New York, Finger Lakes region. I never seem to get to enjoy some of the areas. Like it's the wine region. And there's going to be a point in time when I do it. I'm just more like, I want to get home to my husband in America. There's like a magnet that's like, no, stay here. And I know my mom is jealous because she's always wanted to go up there. And, last week I was in Tennessee with Widener Insurance. We just launched their Apex Time Management too. So proud of them getting their emails down to 0 on Friday, 0 overdue tasks. They've gotten rid of notepads. If you can believe it. I know some people listening out there are like, can't happen. I'm like, it can. So they got the honor of getting their time blocks going. And so just super grateful, super happy about the way things are going. But
that course in itself is so rewarding. You feel so good when you see that 0 inbox. I know I do.
It's a game. It's like, we got to get there. And one of our upcoming blogs, Heath kind of set me up there, I think a little bit, is actually time management for producers. So again, because we're focused on commercial producers this month, we're going to have a whole big long blog, something like this, just for time management for producers to discuss it. But when the mayor and I first started talking about him coming onto this team, there was one point where I think I was like maybe a little too open and I was like, I hate commercial
You said it out loud. Wow.
I did. I was like, there's just something about commercial producers. I think some of it is because they try to sell you on how busy they are, how much they're selling versus going and selling insurance. And I kind of have a BS meter that's pretty high. You're just lying and you're wasting everybody's time. Please redirect your energy towards going and prospecting. Stop directing it and selling me on that. You're doing great. Go out here, then we'll be here. I can see it in the numbers. And so I always think that they're always like Tasmanian devils. They're like running through the office and like disrupting all the account managers and like, I need this right now, now. And then the account manager needs something and they call the producer and they don't get back to him for 4 days. And then I meet really great producers where there's like no chaos, but then they don't need me when there's no chaos. So every time I'm inserted into commercial producers, it's because it's just like this epic dysfunctional family. So when he came on and he was like, I love commercial producers. I'm like, so you could, like, I would not have to do that again.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. As I was even writing this course and I just wrapped it up, we're going to be releasing it soon. I got a little PTSD. I'm not going to lie. When you go back and I'm writing the course on cold calling, for example, at the very beginning, I understand and I get that because I remember those days of getting those rejections and going out every day, literally knocking doors or pick up the phone and calling people and you get those no's every day and it gets in your head sometimes. It's the psychology of it as well. And so then when you do get that yes and you do get that rush and that high of going out and seeing them and getting all that information and yeah, yeah, sometimes you do come in like a Tasmanian devil because that moment you're so damn excited. You just want to get it done and you're proud of yourself. And again, as you call it, peacocking, and you got that yes. It may have taken you 10 or 15 calls, but you got that yes. And you want to write that account because you know at the end of the day, you got a paycheck coming and
Sure.
mama needs new shoes. The kids need new backpacks. You've been telling your family, there's a check coming. There's a check coming. There's a check coming. I promise. You get that excitement. So yes, I do love that because I know the hard work that does go into it. And I know how hard that is sometimes. And then so much more, as I said, as I was writing this course, it goes into it from gathering information and working with underwriters. I did get a little twitch there for a minute. It just goes back to that pride. And I am proud that you allowed me this opportunity and you care enough about our agencies that we're going to put this course out. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of good social media buzz. So just for clarification, the course is actually released on the 15th of July. So from the 15th of July till the 31st of 2022, you can actually buy that course outright at a great discount. Or you can always subscribe to our school for $245 a month, get that and everything else that we offer.
With that course, there's also some other pretty cool things. There's bonus sections, there's some scripts, there's templates, there's all kinds of really cool stuff that comes with it outside of just seeing my beautiful mug on a video. Now I'll let you go back to our regularly scheduled
and we should also say that because he's just had a virtual launch with an agency yesterday and they're like, man, we wish we'd have had you in person. We are also doing them as our full consulting training programs of 6-month programs, really install this into your agency. So both virtual and in person. So if you're like, man, we're not real good at that watching video thing, I get it. We have options for all different types. Let's dive into some of the questions that we get on how to manage commercial and producers. I think the first question that we get a lot with commercial and in particular producers, how do you set sales goals? I think a lot of times a goal is set. Sometimes it's like, is it too high? Is it too low? Or no one's hitting the sales goals and they're just sort of there without anything. So Heath, talk a little bit about how you approach trying to figure out a good sales goal for a team.
I have to be careful working in this capacity because if you set a certain goal, commercial producers, any producer really, but while we're talking commercial, they'll tend to hit the goal and then stop.
Sandbag.
That used to drive me bonkers. Now, I'm not going to lie. Prior managers have managed me. I did the same thing. I was guilty of that as well. So again, I have
like karma coming back to you.
Right. And I think it goes into clever incentives. I think it goes into, as you talk about, two different goals. Maybe a goal, and then you have to your BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal of something that would be amazing if you hit it. Incentivizing in the long way to get there. I think it also depends on your agency, on the type of business that you write. And those goals can be different. If it's a niche focused agency, it may be a certain amount of accounts. If it is truly a growth agency, it may be on quantity of business. Maybe you want to write a ton of small accounts. It's tough to quantify exact number. A big part of that would be incentivizing to keep going, to say, once you exceed your goal, we're going to give you this. Once you exceed that goal, we're going to give you this to keep people going. Because I don't know a commercial producer that's not somewhat money motivated. I mean, you have to be to put yourself through that.
And we also say too, a couple things on goal setting. Label your producers. There's the green producer that's new, that's going to need to have a different goal. And maybe their goals are also activity driven. I believe all producers should have an activity goal because the top ones end up roller coastering or they only prospect when they need to and it hurts things. Then we also have what I call the non-producing producer. They're just sitting on a book. Maybe it's an agency you purchased. Maybe they're in the real back nine of their career and they're writing almost nothing, but coming and going as they please, like a producer, not truly contributing to growth, but managing a book a little bit more. And then you have your inbound producer, which is different. They're taking whatever comes in and it's on you to generate that phone ringing. And then you have your true hunter. In the blog that Heath and I are talking about, there is actually a link to download our growth calculator where you can play around with this on your own. And that's free. So I recommend checking out the notes on this and grabbing that. I also believe that it should align with the agency's growth goal. It shouldn't just be this random number, but it should be like, we want to grow 8%, which means our retention's X and Y. And that's how it kind of goes.
If I could also add to that a little bit, one of the things, as you talk about activity goals, I say, in the course, a little foreshadowing is, especially new producers should have at least the first 90 days they're working with you, if they're brand new, should be spent gathering X dates, gathering prospects. And my number that I talk about is 300. And that first 90 days, you should gather that 300 X dates. You want at least 25 a month. So that's how I came up with the 300. I don't want any agency owner telling me, my producer came and said they have nothing to do. If you got 25 X dates a month, you got plenty to do. And if you don't, you better get out there and get 25 a month. I do think incentivizing them to get there is a big deal. A tiny bit of patience has to go in there too. When you hire a brand new green producer, that first 90 days should be focused on prospecting. And you can't have a huge goal of, I need you to write 500,000 in new business revenue in the first 90 days. It's not going to happen. They're going to be busy building their pipeline. So I do think you have to understand that as well. But then after that, it's game on. After that first 90 days, the last 3 quarters, they should be just killing it.
Another question that came into us was, how do you have a sales meeting, right? Maybe some agencies have never really held a sales meeting. They kind of get in, maybe do carrier updates, the morale's low. People blow them off. They're inconsistent. Heath, what would be your best strategies for having a great sales meeting in an agency?
This may be, as to use your language, the Tigger in me, but I would love to say one of the biggest things I think is to celebrate victories as well as talk about some of the pain points as well. But I think if you can start off the meeting and celebrating those victories and congratulations, Kelly wrote 400,000 this last month, or this last week, whatever it might be, making up numbers. I think you need to celebrate those and encourage those for that. We're going to pull back the curtain a minute. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of emotions. A lot of commercial producers do as well. A lot of them have those feelings sometimes, and you want to make sure that you feed that ego, you stroke that, you tell people, hey, congratulations on this. I know one of the things I did in my agency is you hand out that money right in front of everybody if you get a chance to. Hey, here's your blank, blank, blank dollar bills, for achieving this goal. Do that publicly. Talk about it then. Or if they have a spin the wheel, let them spin the wheel right then and there in front of people and get that prize. And the whole meeting shouldn't be that, but I think that's where you should start. And I'll ask you, as you've led a lot of those meetings as well, what are your thoughts on that?
I think the meeting should have an agenda so everybody is prepared and knows what to expect, so that they can digest and people have time to add things to an agenda, because that just keeps the otherwise people, I feel like sometimes are winging sales meetings. And then that's when it's kind of like some people will be like, this is a waste and I don't want to be here. I'd rather be selling. You should always show the sales numbers and they should be totally transparent. And, sometimes agencies are like, well, what if people are upset because they're in the bottom? Like, that's the point, right? Like if you see the sales numbers and you're at the bottom, that should be your kick in the butt without a manager have to come in and saying, why are you not producing? Then you'll get the feelings of excuses as opposed to just a clear leaderboard. A good salesperson never wants to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. So you should see a bump the next week. I also think that there should be a note taker. So producers are very well known sometimes for a little bit of lack of organization and a lack of detail. So they can go back to the notes. It's very clear what was said, what the expectations are. It doesn't go up to, well, I heard this, I heard that. Have an assistant take notes in the meeting, have them recorded. We use a Volma that actually transcribes our meetings, so we don't have to have anything in there. It's technology. That's really helpful. Action items should be distributed after the meeting. So like, here's what we discussed. Here's who's doing what. Here's the expectation. The idea is also if somebody is not performing, it's not addressed in that meeting. That is addressed privately. That's not addressed in a public forum. That's meant to say, sidebar, we'll talk about this with you later for that reason. I think sales meetings should be mandatory. So I don't think it should be like, oh, I've got a meeting. No, you don't. And if some people are remote or virtual, your camera is on, you are off mute, you are in a meeting. It's not that you're like doing the dishes at the same time with a sales meeting, because this is 1 hour a week or however often people do it. I think that there's a lot to be said for that too.
One of the things I'll say that a sales meeting is not just a time to gripe and complain and air out dirty laundry and complain about this or moan about that. Like you said, you have to have an agenda, you have to be clear and concise, go through that. There is something that needs to be discussed. I think you take that off, hey, let's discuss this when we get done with the meeting and we'll go from there. Or set a meeting between you and the account manager or whatever it might be. It's not a time for bitching and moaning.
It's true. And sometimes because producers do have feelings, it can sidebar the whole meeting. And then all of a sudden, we got time for one more question that came in. There's a thought too, like, oh, this producer's high producing. They don't need this. They don't need training. They don't need to be in the sales meetings. They've got this. I have my feelings on, I still think everybody should have a coaching meeting once a month. I think everybody should be in the sales meetings. What's your take on the idea? Like there's these unicorns out there that are high producing and they don't want to go to this stuff and they don't want to participate. And there's like a aversion to it. And how do you handle that, Heath?
I tell people all the time, whether it's in trainings or my kids or whoever, I'm talking insurance is ever changing. changing. Just when you think you've learned it all, something else happens. Something changes legislatively, a carrier changes, something happens. Or as you and I both know, and people listening to this, there's always something new coming out. Now, the big buzz is cyber. It used to be whatever it might have been. And, back then, rates are changing, how to handle certain objections are changing. Hell, we all came into a worldwide pandemic 2 years ago, which changed everything. There's recessions. Those people that say I don't need training, they're full of what, and they need to be in those trainings.
Sometimes they need to be in them more.
Right. And I feel like there's got to be a level of accountability as well. We eat our own cooking, and I meet with you on a regular basis, and there's times where you'll push me on certain things and you'll challenge me to learn something, get out of my box. I could speak for you in saying that I know our team, and I know they challenge you as well. And I know there's times that they may push back on you and say, well, wait a minute, Kelly, what about this? You eat your own cooking as well. And I know that us telling you this is not us just standing on our high horse. We eat this same cooking, and sometimes it tastes good, and sometimes it tastes like broccoli. For me, broccoli's bad, or pickles. But so I would say there needs to be a level of accountability. I think with so many changes.
I think that sometimes, listen, the best salespeople in the world I know are reading sales books or listening to sales podcasts. So if you have a top producer, there's nothing that says that they shouldn't be there. If anything, they can mentor other people. Their role might be they pick up one little thing that helps them, but they also might need to be a leader for others. And that's also a really critical statement.
One of the cool things about the school is you can use those in sales meetings. So Kelly's already written all the content. We've already recorded all of it. Put that on, take 10 minutes, watch one of our videos, learn a lot from Kelly.
We'll learn from you on the commercial stuff.
Sure.
There'll be a link you can sign up to get updates on this school. If you want to manage commercial producers, check out the content, check out the videos associated with it. And I'll give you one more thing. Next week, we are going to be doing, Heath's got his content releasing on how to prospect. So it's going to walk you through some steps that Heath has for prospecting. Again, some of it's included in the course. You get so much more in the course. But if you are interested, watch for that next week. And Mayor, I'm going to let you go back managing your Mayor town. And thank you so much for hopping on today and sharing some wisdom with everybody.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thank you.